You ever take one of those crazy flights of fancy? You got this one thing in your brain, and it's like a worm. It just crawls around, and one thing leads to another, and pretty soon your whole head's wrapped up in it. That happened to me, and I'm going to share it with you. I hope it doesn't put you to sleep. I know it won't make you laugh out loud. I'm sitting here under the shade of one of my pinyon trees. Pretty warm morning. A little background noise. Some dogs are upset. I hear somebody trimming their lawn, even though we're under a big fire watch today. But I digress. Here's what started me on this crazy journey. It's a poem by Michael Blumenthal called I Think Constantly of Those Who Were Truly Great. I think constantly of those who were truly great, and to be perfectly honest, it bums me out. So many great ones. Libidinal heroes, idealists, warrior chieftains, revolutionaries, fabulists of all sorts, even the great Irish pig farmers and Armenian raisin growers. And who, I ask myself, am I by comparison? Calmed by Valium, urged on by Viagra, uplifted by Prozac, I go about my daily rounds, a quotidian member of the quotidian hierarchy. A Perseus with neither a war nor a best friend, and I sink to the depths of despair on the broken wings of my own mundanity. If only some god had given me greatness, I surely would have made something of it. Perhaps a loftier, more humble poem than this, or some ubermenschlich gesture that would reveal my superiority to the ordinary beings and things of this world. But here I am now, one of the earth's mere Sancho Panzas, leading those heroic others through the world on their magnificent horses, merely turning the page, dreaming my own small deeds into their magnificent arms. It's kind of bad. It's bad to be average. But then I ran across a poem with a title that doesn't tell you anything about the poem. It's just called Mexico by Robert Bernard Haas. And I realized when I read it, as I hope you will realize as I read it, this is where Walter Mitty meets his wife. Game over again. I've just crossed the Rio Grande, and by a string of clever switchbacks have, for the moment, outwitted the posse. Ahead lie the ghosts of Sierra Madre. Behind, I have nothing but sun, while the condor's shadow circles over my bones. Though the mountains are steep, my horse doesn't falter, and now I know why starving bandoleros will never shoot their animals for food. Beyond my mirage, I see the white adobe. Yes, the one with the red-tiled roof, which one afternoon I will lean against with my hat down, my knees up after a bottle of tequila. In that siesta, I'm sure to dream of the lovely senorita who is stolen away from her father to meet me in the orchard. But enough of that. There's work to be done. I have cattle to rustle, horses to steal before the posse picks up my trail. In a poem of Mexico, it would be unwise for a poet to mention the posse is his wife. So, mi amigo, if you find her prowling my mountains with a wooden spoon in her hands, tell her I'm not here. Tell her I've run off with Cormac McCarthy and Louis L'Amour, that I ride like the wind to join up with the great Pancho Villa. So where did that send me? That sent me straight to the arms of Walter Mitty. And if you've never read Walter Mitty, you should. Because Walter Mitty is every man's leather armchair on a warm afternoon with a couple of empty beer cans sitting on the table beside him. And I recall that as a lot younger person, I realized that there was a real life Walter Mitty. His name was George Plimpton. He was a sports writer. George Plimpton was just a gangly 6'4" scarecrow who wrote about sports. And by hook or by crook, he actually got to box with Max Baer and got his nose bloodied up pretty bad. He got to run 4 plays as a quarterback in a spring season game with the Packers. Of course, first play he fumbled, fell on it, lost 5 yards. Next play he went back to pass, fell over his own shoestring, lost another 10 yards. Then he completed a pass, but really more of a lateral, and I forgot the 4th play, but after 4 plays, he went from the 30-yard line all the way back to the 1-yard line. He almost scored a touchdown, but in the wrong end zone. At any rate, George Plimpton got to do this stuff. He got to play hockey in the bigs. He got to pitch to the American League All-Star baseball players. He got to do all kind of crazy things. He was. You should read his story. He was truly a modern-day Walter Mitty. And that led me all the way back to a story I read when I was in college by none other than Ray Bradbury, about a fellow stumbling around in a city on Mars who ended up in what then didn't exist, ended up in an arcade where he got to play the part interactively of an engineer, a jet pilot, an astronaut. Of course, this fellow died in every one of them in a spectacular crash. So I think I might just keep my Walter Mitty dreams in my armchair, not try to live out any of them, and vicariously live through the words of all of the poets that I enjoy each day.